Hey, what's up, BookTube? I am here with a Friday Reads style video, not on a Friday. Today is Sunday when I'm filming, but I don't think the day of the week matters. I just wanted to talk about some of the things that I have read in the past couple weeks that I haven't spoken about, as well as some of the current things that I'm reading. Just a way for me to make a video and talk about some books. I'm going to try to keep it brief. I've filmed this a couple times already and I've just blabbered way too long. So yeah, keep it brief. Keep it brief, okay? First up, read this on vacation like a week and a half ago. These are the first and only two books in Daniel Silva's Michael Osborne series, published in 1998 and 1999 before he started his moneymaker, the Gabriel Allon series. So this is The Mark of the Assassin and The Marching Season. Now, Michael Osborne is a CIA case officer, or he's a former case officer, like the people who run the foreign asset agents. But his anonymity was compromised, so now he's a desk worker. And he's basically tasked with uncovering a conspiracy which originated when a Muslim terrorist blew up a commercial jetliner with a Stinger missile, but it turns out that it was a false flag, and there's a whole conspiracy on why certain people wanted a jetliner to go down at a certain time of the year in certain news cycles. So an entertaining enough thriller. There's a cool assassin who has ties to Osborne's past, and they have some nice back and forth. Nothing special, the books. The dialogue is horrible, but you can tell where Silva is. You can tell that Silva's going to become a good thriller writer. The second book, The Marching Season, features the tension and violence between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, especially the IRA and Protestant paramilitary groups in Ulster in Northern Ireland. So that was a neat little thriller as well, and it continues part of the story from book one. I won't say unfortunately, because we don't need any more of these books, but I don't think Silva's writing any more Osborne thrillers. But yeah, decent enough. It's funny, Jerry Adams and Queen Elizabeth are characters in the second book. It's kind of weird. All right. Another book I read recently, In the Midst of Death by Lawrence Block. It's from 1976. It's the third book in the Matthew Scudder detective series. And I don't know if I've talked about Matt Scudder on this channel. He's basically a alcoholic private investigator in New York. He's not necessarily a private investigator for hire, but he will do favors for people, i.e. investigate, if he deems the case to be worth his time, or if he needs money to buy more booze. And the reason that Scudder is an aimless, depressed, alcoholic, divorced his wife and kids PI is that he accidentally shot a girl in the eye while he was drunk and apprehending some criminals while off duty. And he obviously felt tormented by the whole thing, but he was rewarded for stopping the criminals, but that the girl got clipped in the eye, so that's why he's all messed up. But Scudder's starting to deteriorate in book three compared to the first two books, and this book revolves around a semi-corrupt cop who's ready to narc on the rest of the corruption in the New York City Police Department, and a prostitute that he had formerly been involved with is found dead, and the corrupt cop is implicated in the murder, and he hires Scudder to try and clear his name. Um, I've thought all of Lawrence Block's books so far have been of quality. I really enjoy the Matt Scudder series. It's short. The the twists and turns of the detective story aren't necessarily mind-boggling or anything. It's down to earth. Scudder is just going around talking to people, getting things done. I really enjoy this series, and I'm gonna continue on as I find them at the library. All right, next up, I read this last week. This is Joan Didion. It's my first Joan Didion. It is The Last Thing He Wanted, which is a novel she wrote in 1996. And I just picked this out randomly from the library. Didn't know anything about it, just started it. And what I can say about this book in one sentence is that this is Joan Didion playing at being Thomas Pynchon. It is exactly like an early Pynchon thriller mystery where it's weird and you have no idea what's going on. And there's all sorts of like postmodernly named characters. The gist of the story is that the main character, Elena McMahon, she quits her job and then gets involved in a plot involving her father, who's an arms dealer. And she goes down to Central America or the Caribbean and tries to complete this arms deal that her father can't because he has dementia and he's in a hospice care or something. But I had no idea what was going on. The timeline is completely disjointed. It's the narrative is framed as a newspaper reporter who knew Elena McMahon is writing about what happened to Elena McMahon. And apparently it's all based on the Iran-Contra affair with like Nicaraguan rebels and Iranian weapon shipments. I had no idea. I went in blind. I think this book would be good on a reread. It's quite short. It's only like 220 pages or something. But the first read for me was just grueling. I didn't like it at all. But by the end, I was thinking, man, this could actually be good on reread. If I looked up the Iran-Contra affair and learned about it first, maybe just on Wikipedia, and then read it again. But I didn't really like this first time. Okay. Another book I read recently. Just finished this a couple days ago. Got Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. This is the Vintage International, Vintage Publishing edition of Nabokov's 1955 hit novel. I think it's definitely his most well known. I don't have much to say about this. I loved it. I thought it was great. The writing here, well, it can be incredibly sickening, obviously, as we're in the mind of a total pedophile, pederast, however you say it. But in spite of being in the mind of the sick Humbert, Nabokov just writes so well. It's almost like perfect 20th century language, in my opinion. And if you haven't read Lolita, we follow the story of Humbert, who's attracted to nymphets, who are girls aged 9 to 14 of a certain look type. And I couldn't explain what a nymphet is, but Humbert definitely could. He knew what he liked. And he moves to America, and he moves in with this lady and her daughter as a boarder. He's just renting a room, and he discovers that he's aroused by the daughter who's like 12 or something, and an opportunity presents itself for Humbert to marry the girl's mother and enter the family. And from there, it's disgusting. Nabokov isn't outright pornographic or all. It's more implied, or things are talked about after they happen. But yeah, an incredibly depraved abstraction of ideas. But Nabokov pulls it off so well, and there's no doubt at all that Humbert is reliable. Or Humbert is not reliable at all. And I don't think I took enough of that into account on my first read. I was just kind of reading and taking it in. But by the end, I was like, was he telling the truth at this point or that point or that point? So, yeah, I mean, I just really love this book. It is plotless. There's not really a plot at all. It's just things happen, and then things after that happen. But yeah, if you love beautiful words and beautiful sentences and beautiful paragraphs, you should read Nabokov and Lolita. Okay, next up for my 1066 Norman Conquest project, I was able to pick up The Last Viking, the true story of King Harold Hardrada by Don Holloway. I've actually been reading on my Kobo, my new Kobo that I got, but I found this at Barnes & Noble and I was able to use a gift card. So I have the physical edition now too, which is great. But this is a biography / history of Harold Hardrada, the king of Norway who attempted to invade England from the north during 1066. And what happened is, spoiler alert in history, the Anglo-Saxons, the English at the time, King Harold, went up to address Harold Hardrada, not Harold Godwinson. They addressed Harold Hardrada's invasion in the north, and they defeated the Vikings, Harold. But then the English had to go back south immediately to address William the Conqueror invading from the south, and they were not successful in that. So I'm getting background on Harold Hardrada. And man, I'm only halfway through, but this guy had an incredible life. He was fighting for the Byzantine Empire and the Kievan Rus. I think he blinded a Byzantine emperor. And he was fighting in Sicily, and he was fighting the Muslims. Just crazy so far. I'm not really liking the narrative nonfiction style that Holloway uses, but this is like, it feels like it's fiction what I'm reading here for the exploits of Harold Hardrada. So I'm really liking this book, other than kind of how Holloway's writing it. But the actual facts are incredible. The Last Viking. All right, hurry up. Okay. Second to last book that I'm reading right now is Termination Shock by Neal Stephenson. This is one of his more recent novels. It's post-COVID. It includes references to COVID in the novel, and it also alludes to subsequent COVID outbreaks, not just 19, but like COVID 23 and 27. That's beside the point. I was just placing it in time. But I'm reading it on my Kobo. 20% in. This thing's huge. It's like 700 pages or something. But it is described as a climate thriller, or like cli-fi. I'm over 100 pages in, and we're still trying to figure out what's going on. But the main the main point of the setting is that global warming or climate change, whatever, has progressed, and uh, sea levels have been rising, and land has been flooding. Especially some of the main characters are from the Netherlands. They have a huge like dam now to keep out the ocean, but sometimes it floods and like ruins everything. And these Dutch people are in Texas in the beginning of the book. And Texas, it's so hot in Texas, and there's been some like ant infestation that ate up everybody's air conditioners, and nobody can make any more because of production issues in China. So there's just this like weird caravan-esque RV trailer demographic in Texas, and there's feral hogs everywhere and feral alligators, and it's just hot. You need like skin suits to exist. I have no idea where it's going. I have I have absolutely no clue where it's going, but it's interesting enough. I don't know if it's going to end up as my favorite Stevenson. Will probably be my least favorite. But I'm trying to work my way through his all his works. I really liked Seven Eves by Stevenson, but Snow Crash I was super disappointed with. I think Termination Shock may go in the middle. I don't see why I would like it less than Snow Crash. But yeah. So I'm in the middle of that. And the last book that I'm currently reading is The Poetry of the First World War. This is Oxford World Classics, edited by Tim Kendall. And I don't know anything about World War One. I know it was the Germans versus the Allies, the Germans and the Austro-Hungarians versus the Allies. But I haven't studied World War One at all, so I was a little bit apprehensive going into this. But the introduction by Tim Kendall is just fascinating, and it really shows all you need to know about World War One to understand the poetry. And my gosh, that's the best introduction I think I've ever read in a Oxford World Classic or Penguin Classic. There was just such clarity, but it was not simple. It was still high level, but it was clear, and I felt prepared to read war poems from both soldiers and civilians. And I'm 38 pages in, reading some Rudyard Kipling right now. But the poems that I've read, especially from Thomas Hardy, he did a lot of war poems for World War One. It's super interesting how you see that this is the first like World War. There can be arguments, I think, for a couple preceding wars, but this is the big one, the Great War. And you can see how people were kind of excited at the beginning. Like they were drumming up support. They were all patriotic and nationalistic. Like, oh, Britain, Britain, Britain. This anthology, by the way, is only British and Irish, which I don't think they say it on the back cover. But you can see how they're all upbeat at first, and as the years go on, and people like realize the horror of war, and as the poison gas is implemented, and there's just submarine fighting everywhere, and just mass casualties, the poetry gets really depressing, and you're seeing a shift in sentiment. Like, whoa, we're in a little too deep on this one. Like, this isn't the romanticized warfare of the past anymore. This is just straight up like meat grinding. We're just harvesting bodies right now. So even without ever reading a history book of World War One, I think this is a great introduction to the subject. And I think even at the end of the introduction, what's his name? Tim Kendall says, "Not since the siege of Troy has a conflict been so closely defined by the poetry that it inspired." So, Poetry of the First World War by Oxford. Really fantastic. I'm absolutely loving it right now, and I'm hoping to burn through it and read all of these soon. Poetry takes me a little while since I usually read it aloud and then read it with my eyes and then go to the notes and read the notes and then read it again in one of those two formats. So I'm doing at least 3 read-throughs per poem, and then if it's good enough, I might try and think on it or refer back to something else to try and wrap my head more around it. So each page takes a while for me. I don't know if that's the best way to read poetry on a first go, but that's how I like to do it. So yeah, if you ever come across this, I heavily recommend. It's great. So yeah, those are the books that I have read or I'm reading in the last week or so, week and a half. I think there's more. Maybe it's 2 weeks. I think there's more, but I didn't feel like talking for too long. This already went long, so bye.